Okay, in this example, I'm going to demonstrate a while loop. So again, a loop is something that will repeat a section of code. Here, I want to display the word hello to the screen a certain number of times. So I'm going to ask, the user, how many times do you want to loop? And then based on what they say the number of times is, that's how many times I'm going to go through my loop. So this is a little different than the for loop. If this is a counting loop in this example, right, I know how many times I want to go through. I have to set up my counter variable to be initialized prior to the start of the loop. So in this case, my counter variable here is just going to be an integer called I. I'm going to set it to 1. While this Boolean expression is true, while 1 is less than or equal to the number of times, it's going to output hello, and then it's going to increment I. So if I enter 4 times, I'll be 1. 1 less than or equal to 4 is true. I'll see out hello, and I'll become 2. 2 less than or equal to 4 is true. I'll see out hello. I'll become 3. 3 less than or equal to 4 is true. I'll see out hello. 4. I'll become 4. 4 less than or equal to 4 is true. I'll see out hello. Then I becomes 5, and the loop ends. So I'm just going to run this. I'll say 4, and then I'll see hello on the screen 4 times. Okay, so this is using a while loop kind of as a counting loop. If you are just counting the number of times you want to go through a loop, a for loop is probably a better loop to use because the syntax is all built in. The initialization statement, the Boolean expression or the loop condition, and the update expression are all built into the syntax. So if you forget any of these with a while loop, you're going to have a problem. So like if I forget this and I run my while loop, right, I get an infinite loop. Okay, so if you forget any of the pieces, again, it's very easy to get an infinite loop, but you can certainly use a while loop if you want. Here's just another example. I'll use I in my loop, and instead of having an endl, I'll just put, a space between each of the values. So if I run this and I enter the number of times, right, it's going to display 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now if I want, I could put an endl after the loop, so press any key to continue will display on the next screen. Okay, but I don't have any endls inside the loop, so that's why everything is on the same line. All right, so this is using a while loop, kind of like a counting loop. But again, a for loop would be better. So let me give you an example of when a while loop would be a good type of loop to use. Here's an example of a while loop where I'm continuing through the loop as long as the user would like to continue through the loop. So it's not really a counting loop. This is a good example of a while loop. So I have a character variable called answer, and initially I'm going to set it to y. And then while the answer is equal to y, which it is, right, it's going to go through the loop. It's going to display hello, and it's going to say, would you like to continue? And then the user is going to enter an answer. And if that answer is yes, it's going to see out hello, and it's going to ask them again. If at any point the answer is something other than an uppercase Y, the loop will end. Okay, so let me show you how that works. It displays hello, would I like to continue? Yes. Displays hello, would I like to continue? Yes. It displays hello, would I like to continue? No. and the loop ends. Okay, this is very specific. It's looking for an uppercase Y. So if you want, you could say or answer is equal to a lowercase y, right? That way the user could put either of those in. Yes, yes, lowercase y. No. Okay, so you can have more than one condition in here if you'd like. So this is a good example of a loop. So, but again, you know, I'm initializing answer to yes. If I didn't do this the first time through, I'm going to have a problem. Okay, and you can see I'll get a message here, local variable answer used, uninitialized local variable answer used. So it's telling me that I'm using answer, but it doesn't have a value in it. So that's why, okay, so that's why that needs to be here. All right. Just like with a for loop, the body of the while loop is enclosed in curly braces. So as long as this Boolean expression is true, it's going to execute everything inside the curly braces. If you leave them off, then only this statement is now in the body of the loop, and that's going to give us an infinite loop. Okay? So you have to be very careful. Again, as a beginning programmer, it's always a good idea to leave those on. Now with a while loop, be very careful. If you put a semicolon at the end of a while loop, this is just an infinite loop. It's infinitely executing semicolons. Because if this is true, which it is, it's going to execute the semicolon. So the semicolon is going to be the body of the loop. So that's going to cause us an infinite loop. So you have to be careful of that. And again, you guys get used to putting semicolons there at the end of everything, but they don't belong there. So this type of loop, while you're reading until the user tells you or you're doing something until the user tells you that you want to stop, this is a good example of where to use a while loop. It's a pre-test loop, so the condition is tested at the very beginning. If this was not Y initially, this would be false, and the loop would never execute. And that's just the definition of a pre-test loop. Okay? A pre-test loop means if this condition is initially false, then the body of the loop might never be executed.